Alright, well, my clutch is lost somewhere in shipping. It was one of those deals where FedEx passes it off to the USPS. And the US Postal Service, if there's one thing that they don't know how to do, it's the Postal Service. I absolutely abhor the United States Postal Service. It is horrible. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars at this point because it doesn't get anything done. So anyway, beside the point, rant over. So I've been kind of toying around with how I'm going to mount a sheave on this clutch. So this is with the gear back in place on here, on the flywheel. So this is what bolts to the flywheel right here. I can get it out. That's what bolts to the flywheel. So I know that the bolt pattern on that is correct. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to weld a plate on here, come out with a plate that I can put on the clutch. Don't know yet. Anyway, but I got other things to do today. Do not try this at home, kids. This is a temporary setup only to test this. I wired this motor up for low voltage. If you look on the chart here, it tells you how to wire for low voltage. Make sure I don't get my hand in something that's in here. Tells you how to wire it up. You wire these three together, then you wire your lines into these other lines. So that's what I've done. This is a 30 amp service right now. It pulls pretty much exactly 30 amps when it's on low voltage, I believe, looking at the specs. So we're probably going to run this on 50 amps because I don't want to trip the breaker. Anyway, so here's the breaker. Got it plugged in, and it does work. Motor runs great. Don't even need a starter for it. At least with no load, it doesn't need a starter. Now we put a load on it, put that flywheel on there. It may struggle a little bit to start. But as of right now, it's not taking a starter. That's on 30 amps, low voltage, 240. Turn that breaker back on before I forget. And I'm going to take this as far away from this outlet as I can because I don't want one of my helpers to think that it's a good idea to plug it in with that breaker turned on. So that's that. The motor's running. I did put this back together the other day. Put the cog back on. Put the bearing housing back on. We're going to cross this bridge when we get there. It's how we're going to put this whole thing together. Because I believe what's going to happen is there's going to be bearing housing, sprocket, or the cog for driving this cog, then a pillow block bearing, and then the sheave, flywheel, whatever we use, and then out from that we'll have the high-speed air union right here, and it will get mounted on the end. That way the hoses can come out and do what they need to do and not get bound up on a shaft or something. So that's what we're looking at so far. Been looking at ideas as to what I can make with this thing. Super excited to get this thing running. I've had a few hits on some dies on eBay just so I can start doing small stuff, see how this machine's gonna run before I order the actual set. And I mentioned in my other video the other day that freight on the set of dies was $1,000. That was to ship 4 pieces, 2 tops and 2 bottoms. So freight would be less, but still, that's probably going to be as much as the dies were. If I'm being honest, that's probably about what it's going to come out to be. Anyway, wiring this thing in, we're going to come in with probably get us a new power cord. And we'll come in and tie it in like it is now. So that when we have our output on this, it will reverse the lead. I mean, essentially all this does is it's off of contact, and it just swaps a couple of the wires over, because to reverse phase on a 3-phase, all you have to do is swap two hot lines and it'll reverse direction. So all it's doing is reversing direction on a couple of them, but still be able to use this switch. Hopefully we'll run a new lead from here to go to the motor if that one's not long enough that's on there, which it very well may not be. And this, like I mentioned the other day, this motor is probably going to sit out further, so we'll have to do something with this. Maybe take this bracket and move it to the other side. I think it will. I haven't even paid attention to that. Oh yeah, it will. Move this bracket to the other side. It may be enough. May have to put an extension on it. I'm going to find some way to put an adjustable, a way to adjust the belt tension on it so I can hopefully control the speed of the drive, because the motor's 1 speed. It's a single speed motor, but if I can adjust the tension on the belts, it should allow me to adjust the speed fairly well on the drive. So this bracket's probably going to get redone so that it can move in, hold my pillow block bearing. Once the clutch comes in, we'll be ready to do some stuff. But right now we're waiting on the clutch, and it showed that it left the shipment facility in St. Louis. Oh, this motor's heavy. And then it got handed off to USPS, which USPS shows that they received it. And then it said that it left the shipment facility in St. Louis. And then it was saying that it was on time to be delivered Saturday, which their tracking is horrible anyway. It's always wrong. But it was showing that it was on time to be delivered Saturday, which I was hoping it wasn't delivered on Saturday because nobody's here. And then that didn't happen, and then finally it said that it's running late and it doesn't have an ETA for me. So waiting on the clutch. Not really anything else I can do until the clutch gets here, because everything else is going to hinge on that. So anyway, then I'm going to figure out where I'm going to actually set this thing up, because I'm going to have air and power. And I'm going to have 110 power too for the pedal. Anyway, figure it out. So like, share, subscribe.